Thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of The Gifted Gab. I'm of course joined by my co-host Alex. You know the deal. But we have someone very special today. Töme, singer, songwriter, actress, and creative. We got into a lot this episode. We talked about the idea of selling yourself as an artist, the current business of music, where it's heading, and botching high school performances to then performing the national anthem at the Raptors game, and much, much more. Stay along for the ride. We're glad you're here with us.
You are now tuned in to The Gifted Gab.
Well, anyways, welcome.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's a pleasure to have you on here.
Yeah.
I've been following you for probably a few months now, but I actually heard about you even before that.
Okay, fine.
You collabed with Wave Montega.
Yeah,
that's the guy.
my
That's the
boy.
guy that I used to hoop with, like from time
Yeah.
ago. And to see that was like, oh, again, small world.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your experience with that, because I know your collabs. You know, you're from the city.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was born in Montreal. I lived in, like, Brampton, Saga for a long time. Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily say I'm from Toronto, per se.
I'm from Saga, too. It's okay.
Yeah. So, but, yeah, I live here now, so.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Saga City's in this, man. It's okay.
Yeah.
You guys
It's all right.
run up the scoreboard. I won't lie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I lived in Brampton, but my school was in Mississauga because I went to a full French school. So I feel like
you
for
went
me,
to Saint Famille.
Saint Famille.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I feel like for me, what? How do you know about Saint
Come
Famille?
on, man. I know about Saint Famille.
Okay. My bad.
But
That's his jurisdiction. That's
Yeah.
his,
no, that's outside my jurisdiction.
Is it?
That's like a little western way.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
are you French?
I want to learn French.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
That's why Tresor's song pissed you off.
That's it.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was actually mad. I'm like, not me trying, and you didn't say a word
Nothing.
of French,
Not a
and it
single
went
word.
for you.
It's mockery. Pure debauchery.
I was like, wow,
I'm like, I know enough French to know he's not saying shit,
nothing, and I was like, wow.
but it's fire.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's
The power
people who
is
speak
having
French
fun.
bumping it. Like,
Oh, yeah?
Actually,
No,
like,
literally,
this
though.
is fire.
It's
Yeah.
like, you know, when Drake tries to, when he had that run where he's used Greek, he was Arabic for a little bit. Then I think he did French. You know,
Yeah, he
covered a
was
lot
just-
of.
No, but he was actually speaking the
he was
language.
actually speaking
He
French,
was.
Which is also
Just-
impressive.
Yeah, it's very
This
impressive.
is like,
Just straight gibberish.
just
But
literally.
just mockery.
with like the accent, the mockery.
that's debauchery. Right
But
there.
hey, you
Yeah.
know, that's the power of just having fun with music sometimes.
Yeah. So what's your process looking like?
Oh my God. Just in terms of how I create.
Yeah.
that's such a personal question.
Yeah.
It's-
We're getting
Yeah.
Right into
the
it.
nitty
Right
gritty.
straight into it.
Brass tacks.
I think it's changed a lot throughout the years, quite frankly. I think now is a very different process than how I used to write for a while there. But I think it always just has to be a place of feeling. Like, it just usually is based on how I'm feeling, who's around me too. Usually will like kind of reflect on the type of music that's made. But overall, I feel like I'm also just a sponge. So whatever like is around and I'm like, ooh, it sounds good, then let's have fun with it. I think I try not to think so hard anymore about like what sounds good or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm gonna just feel. That's kind of what started like with me and Wave. Like the first song we put out, Jump Off, that was part of like this whole 30-minute banger series that I wanted to start creating. And it was just the idea of like creating a song in 30 minutes. And like, I just,
Oh, I love that.
yeah,
From start to finish.
from start to finish. So that was just like the
Pumping
idea
up.
and like shooting
Yeah.
the whole content around it. And we were just like, you have to let go. You have to let go and you just have to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what like created Jump Off. And that song did really well with absolutely no marketing, absolutely no plan, no strategy, nothing. We were just like, yeah, let's just do it.
So let it fly.
And let it fly. And it did really good. And then we dropped Stush and then another song on his thing. But I think that's where I'm actually at now. It's just a place of feeling, just having fun.
Yeah. I think it's so impressive to see that, because as artists, like, we're really critical of our own work.
Yeah.
And we're sometimes hesitant to release stuff out of fear of judgment,
Yeah.
fear of criticism, you know.
100%.
But to see that and just letting it fly, like, it's you rarely hear that.
For everything that gets
know.
made, there's like 10 things that didn't get made.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally. And I think I've kind of learned that because I created a series, but I did it like early in the year last year, and I just kind of got burnt out, so I left it alone for a bit. But the idea was really just to collaborate with producers and artists alike. And through that process, I realized how many artists, it's actually really hard for them to let go.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard for them to not, nitpick and be like, no, but I want it to be a good song. It's like, yo, forget that. Just have fun. But it's hard, it is hard for creatives, especially when you've already put yourself out there, the expectations, all these different things. You start really getting in your head. Yeah.
And you told me earlier you started in 2019
Professionally. Yeah.
professionally.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna sound crazy. Did you ever perform at what's the Afro festival in the summertime?
Oh, Afrofest.
Afrofest,
Yeah.
yeah, in the field, right? And
Yeah.
did you ever perform there?
Yeah. In
Holy
2019.
smokes.
Oh, is that when you saw me?
That's
Oh,
crazy.
Wow.
No, I'm just getting a
Wait.
flashback. You know, in like the movies when you get, you know, That's So Raven type. No, because I think I
Wait.
recall. This might be before 19 though. Was it? Do you remember the year?
And then the first Afrofest I did was 2019.
It was 19.
It was maybe 2018, but I'm pretty sure it was 2019.
I recall. Yeah, no, this is crazy. But anyways, yeah, you've been in the industry for a minute now.
Yeah, I have.
5 years, if my math is correct. 6 years.
5 years.
2020 was 5 years ago.
2020,
It's
yeah.
a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm
it's
still
like
having
6 years. Oh my
weird
God.
feeling saying 25, like writing it and just it still feels
Saying
weird to
that.
see. Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a while.
yeah.
Kind of no more excuses. It's been 5 years, guys.
It's been 5 years. Yeah. Pick it up.
It's all right. Fine.
So, before you said professionally 2019.
Yeah.
So what was creating looking like to you before that?
Before.
What did you do before? What
my
was your-
Gosh, I think I was just going through life. I guess I started making music. I started writing when I was 8. Started as like poetry, but then I was like I always heard a beat in the back of my head, so it was kind of like making a song. And then by the age of 10, I got my guitar. I like took 1 year to like learn with somebody, and then I would just use the basics, and I just started writing a lot of my own songs. And then by like 2015, I had put out this little like One With Self EP on SoundCloud. Didn't promote it, didn't do nothing. It was just there, living in SoundCloud. And SoundCloud was popping at that time, so someone would hear something. And that's when I got someone reached out to me saying like, hey, like, love your sound, would love to work with you. And he was also from Brampton. So that was kind of my introduction to studio. And then when I got into the studio and just like working with a lot of like synths and beats and just working with other producers, I like really fell in love with like writing. And then from there got into this it was so weird, man, life. Okay. So yeah, I think 2016, 2017, I was going through a very interesting transition in my life. And just like, it was coming out of, oh, you know what? I partied a lot. I was impulsive. I tried a lot of things. I was just having fun. And then from my friend that we ended up like, when I started producing with him, I met another friend of his, and then him and I created this group called Groove. And we literally just made like psychedelic music. And it was just called GROV. Like, we're just Groove. It was fire. Those songs really should see the light of day. But because I still think they're classics. They're really amazing music. But that was sort of like where my music was going. And then 2018 is when my dad was like, quit your job. And he opened up a restaurant in downtown Toronto. And then me and my sister and my dad and a chef that he worked with, we opened up Keys, a restaurant and lounge in downtown Toronto. And that's when I got introduced to the Afro scene and the Nigerian community, because I went to school in a full French school, right? So there's no Nigerians in full French schools. So I barely knew the community in Toronto. So I would still make music, very like lo-fi, psychedelic, just in its own kind of alternative lane. And I remember showing it to my dad, and he was like, it's nice, but it's not marketable. And he just left me there. And I'm like, okay. And it kind of became this thing where I had to prove to him that I could make something he would like. And so I started meeting a lot of different producers, like in the Afro scene and stuff, because Kiza was one of the first kind of restaurant and like clubs, like Afro clubs that were around at that time in Toronto. So I started meeting a lot of people because I was the marketing executive. So I met a lot of people. Started working with a few different producers, and then that's kind of what built the Tome's Room EP that launched in like 2019. But yeah, and then the sound kind of, I think I was always yearning for rhythm, but didn't know where to get it. And so when I got introduced to these producers, I kind of found a way to blend how I grew up, what I know, what feels right, and bring in more of my Nigerian heritage around it. That's kind of what started the sound. But music is everywhere for me. I'm kind of going back to where I started alternatively as well now. So, yeah.
That was such a beautiful time because that era there, I felt like rhythm was actually coming to the city a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those times. It's like, and actually that was like around the Controlla One Dance work
Yeah.
time, no?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was perfect timing.
Sound was kind of changing.
Yeah.
It was.
a little bit. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was adjusting, and there's a lot more, I think, opportunity for those type of styles to really explode here.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have that sound. You still carry that with you.
Yeah, very much so. I think like it kind of like showed itself in different pockets throughout my years, like professionally. But I think now I'm starting to just understand myself more, because I think for a long time there, from 2019 and onwards, you know, my dad was so intertwined in my career. Like he was my manager, my partner, my mentor. He was everything. And so the vision was mine, but it was also his.
Mhm.
And so I think it's sometimes, you know, at one point when he's been in the game for like what, 30 plus years in terms of the Afrobeat side of the world. And like, you know, a lot of these African artists that we know, from like Olamide to Wande Cole, like kind of like the OGs before the Wiz and the Davido and things of that nature. He helped bring a lot of them into the diaspora and like produced a lot of their shows, and he was very well known for show production. And so he'd been in the industry for like 30 plus years. So he had a really good grasp on the African market and the Afrobeats market. And that was, you know, he knew that clearly I had some sort of urge to want to go in this lane. So he was like, okay, let's bring both our visions together.
Yeah.
But I think in the midst of that, it started clouding my trust in myself a bit, and I started just kind of going with him and the route he had for me. So it kind of clashed, because I knew a part of me was not always this Afrobeats type of gal, and he knew it too. He was like, yeah, your sound is this very alternative thing, but let's just stay here for a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It worked. I cannot take anything away from it. That man knew what he was doing. But I think now that, you know, I'm in the place I am now, I have to like try my best to really see how I can make the best out of it for myself, and like just trust me, because you know there's no one else to kind of rely that on anymore. So yeah.
It sounds like your father was really influential in your
Very.
in your entrepreneurial.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That man was the number one mentor in my life. Like it's crazy because we didn't actually live together till 2019. Like I was daddy's little girl, but he always lived abroad. He lived in like Dubai for 7 years. He lived in Nigeria. I saw him seasonally, you know, every year. But daily life was just me, my sister, and my mom. And my mom was incredibly, you know, strong and just very focused and very goal orientated in her field. But nonetheless, I think like it was just more like work related, more so than like entrepreneurially related. So my dad was always the epitome of that. He was a businessman through and through. He always worked for himself, and he made an entire living and, you know, an entire legacy that so many people know him for. So it was extremely like inspiring. By the time 2018 came around and he opened up the restaurant, like he didn't ask us. He said, quit your job, come and work for me, or let's work together. You know what I'm saying? And that was the first time I was ever just put in a situation where he's just like, you have to run this business. We got $20K that we have to make every single month to pay this rent, not the labor, not the expenses of the actual food, nothing. No, just the rent. and because I sold knives for one summer, you know, going to house and like selling some Cutco knives. He was like, you're the marketing executive. I said, oh, great. Fantastic. Yeah. And then that was probably the most challenging year of my life in terms of the amount of, I never worked so hard in my life. I swear down. I never worked so hard in my life. It was literally 365 days. There was no day off because it was our business. And he did all that truly just for the intention for me and my sister to learn and to know what it is to run a business and to see, is this something you want to do? Like he knew that we kind of had no passion in business at that time, but he was like, but you need to know.
What's so beautiful about that is it taught you to work for yourself.
100%.
You know, there's a level of freedom there that like when you're stuck in this kind of 9-to-5 rat race, you're always working for someone else.
Yep.
You're achieving their dreams. But when you're in that position to say, if I don't make this work, it's on me. There's no, you can't blame anyone. You can't put any excuses on anything. And you know about that too.
Oh,
as
I
well.
know. You're saying that. I know firsthand because I built a business with my father too.
Yeah.
So they just throw you in the fire, and it's like trial by fire. It's like figure out how to make this business run.
Yes.
And that same thing. It was a learning experience.
Yeah.
And it teaches you, like, the one thing my father's spirit taught me is like, work for yourself as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Like the faster you can get into just like living on your own terms, making decisions, because all the decisions rest on you.
Yeah.
That 20K in rent is
insane.
It's insane. Like
insane.
you have to think about, like, most people don't think in, you know, that range of costs.
Yeah.
When you go into, like, from a job, it's like, you know, maybe your mortgage should be $3,000-$4,000 a month, but you're not really thinking about like that this is like, and it's every
Monthly.
single day. You know, when that rent
hard.
is due,
It's due.
you know, and like, it's trial by fire, but then like it's something you take with you into your music, into your art.
Yeah.
Because most people, when they get into the art space, they're not thinking like that.
No, not at all. I think that was the biggest thing. I think that's what made him want to, or that's what took him on. Oh my gosh, sometimes I can't talk. I think that's what made him want to manage me. But because at that same time that we're literally like, I'm day in, day out in that place. Like, I don't leave till 6 a.m. I'm back at 11 a.m. I still live in Brampton. I gotta come all the way to downtown, and I'm finding time to make music. I'm finding time that any dollar I'm making, I'm just investing it in myself. I didn't even know where I was going with it. I just knew I wanted good quality sound, and I wanted to build me, and I wanted to, you know, get better at music. And he saw that. And so I think, like, by 2019, I was showing him music. He's like, he's a man of
little words.
Very little words.
A little head nod.
Oh, but that man has so much wisdom.
You know, you know.
Yeah.
So I think from there, 2019 came around. Wizkid's coming to Toronto. He's like, I'm producing his tour, North American tour. Do you want to perform? I'm like, okay. This is like in January. I'm like, oh, okay. No music out, nothing. He's like, you got to release music. I'm like, yeah. He's like, let's have a meeting. I'm like, okay. He's like, okay. And then that was it. We had the meeting, and he was like, are you ready for this? I'm like, yes, this is all I ever wanted. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay. And I'm here thinking I'm just going to be an artist. He was like, no, Miss Ma'am, you're going to manage yourself, everything. Like, I think, like, the way he threw me into, first of all, you have to think about this. I've never released music, and I'm already touring with one of the biggest musical heavyweights in Africa.
That's crazy. Wizkid is
come on. That's
and 2019.
What year was this? 2019 is where he was like,
he was at his peak.
He had collabs with Drake at the time too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. That's
not yet.
20.
I think, or maybe.
Yeah,
actually, no, you're right.
yeah,
He did.
Yeah.
So this was his rebel performance. So this was like his it was a 4,000 capacity, and like that was like one of my first shows, my first official show. Before that, I had performed at the restaurant for like 50 people. I did maybe the national anthem like once or twice at my high school. Botched them both. I ran off crying. Yeah, that was it for me in terms of performance. So, and here I was going into a 4,000 people capacity. And then and then we're doing Ottawa, then we're doing Montreal. And this is like, I don't have anything out right now. I have one song out that we like basically like rushed to release just so I had something. And then we're straight into the fire, and it taught me so much. And then it really became this thing of like, he needed me to know every single thing. I was part of every single meeting. I looked at every contract. I signed everything. He was like, you have a plan? What's the plan this year? Like, it wasn't a sake of he wrote out anything for me. Mm-hmm. He was like, what's your plan? What are we doing? You tell me. This is you. And like, I think that was so important because I understood the business of music. He taught me the business of music. Mm-hmm. He was like, you're an artist. You know music. That's not your problem. That's not what you need. You need to understand the business of music. And I think that I cannot thank that man enough. Oh, he did everything for me to shape who I am today. Yeah, so 100%.
I like how you said you botched both your national anthems at school.
Yes.
So from that to them performing in the Raptors national anthem, how do we take me through that, please? Because that's
let me tell you, I was actually really scared for that performance because I had not done the national anthem since high school.
No way.
Yes. And on top of that, they want me to do the Star Spangled Banner,
Ooh.
the American one.
Did you know the American?
No.
Yeah, okay. So you had to
I
learn
literally,
it.
I learned it for that
How much time
performance.
did you have to prep?
A month.
A month. Okay.
Which isn't bad. It was more than enough time. And I think I did pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. But yeah, like it was extremely nerve-wracking going into it, because I was like, oh my God, like you can't really freestyle the national anthem. Like, this isn't your song. Like, you need to know what you're singing. But it was really exciting. Like, I think that was I think from high school to now, I've had a lot of stage practice. So I don't think I was too nervous to that extent. And I felt better than I thought I would when I actually started singing, because all the nerves were running through me before. And I love if I'm nervous before, because I know I'll do better.
It means you care.
Yeah. And I've actually done worse if I'm not nervous enough before I go on stage.
Wow.
Yeah, like I think nerves are actually so important. Like if you don't have no nerves, you're going to feel everything in the presence of it all. But if you have it beforehand, it's like once you get on that stage, well, you already went through the feeling. So now all you have to do is focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it makes a huge difference. Like I've learned that for myself. If I'm not nervous, I'm worried.
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on now. I got to be nervous.
Something's off there.
Yeah.
Something's off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a good energy that comes from it too.
100%.
I remember when I was taking some acting classes, my coach would tell me, use that.
Yes.
Use that. You know, if you're in a scene and your character's scared, if your character's worried, if your character's frustrated, use that. Because it's all good energy.
Yes.
And that same energy you could put into performing in front of, how many people are at the
You do 20,000, right?
25, 20?
ACC in a Raptors game?
It's
Yeah.
a Rogers Center. Is it
Oh,
20,000?
It might even be more than that, no?
No,
No.
it's around, hovers
20?
around, maybe like 17,
It's
18,000.
nuts.
Yeah.
Who are they playing that day?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Okay, see, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oklahoma.
Okay,
Sorry,
that's crazy.
OKC.
I was like, Oklahoma. I was like, hold on. Oklahoma. No, that's crazy though.
My
That's
bad.
crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oklahoma.
I understood.
Man.
I know.
No, I blanked out for a second, man. It's still early, guys.
No, that's
Yeah.
big. I think like
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm still on the entrepreneurial side, because I think
Yeah.
there's something to be said like how influential our fathers were in our pursuits.
Mhm.
You know, I don't think this gets talked about.
No,
enough.
not enough.
You know, about
Not
how
enough.
influential, like you said, he shaped your entrepreneurial spirit, and you
Yes.
talking about reading your own contracts. Like, 9 out of 10 artists don't think about this stuff.
Like you have to.
You have to.
Yeah.
You're about to sign, God knows what,
Mm-hmm.
your life away,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know what's in that.
Contract. Yeah. And I think as well, like, first of all, I've never been signed. It was all independent. So it really all came from our pocket. But, sorry, I said I was always independent, right? Oh my gosh, sorry.
Yeah.
And I think that also is a different push, because for a while there, I did expect that, you know, I had that same mentality that most artists have, where it's just like, okay, like I'll keep making music and then, you know, someone's going to come around with a deal. And it doesn't matter how good you are. That might not be the case. And the deal that might come around is not in your best interest. So what are you going to do? Where are you going to find the money? You still want to release music. Who's paying for it? There's no money. And he
There's no
also,
money,
yeah, there's no money. I'm independent. How are you going to make the money? And I think that was one of his other very, very important pushes on me. He was like, how are we going to make the money? So do the research, Google, figure it out. Is it grants? Is it, what is it? What are we doing? How are you going to get this? Where are you pitching the songs? Is it sync? He was so adamant on making sure that I understood business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so crucial. And I think a lot of artists don't realize it enough, because I surely didn't, on how important and how easy it is to actually find a couple dollars here and there if you look hard enough. But if you're not, and you're just always in this state of creating, there's not much you can do. And then also, depending on what you want and where and how much money you want, then you also have to take like your heart out of the music for a sec. You have to look at yourself as a consumer. You have to look at yourself as the market, because they don't care about your heart. They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about what you're trying to convey on a personal level. If you're looking at numbers and numbers is what you want, then analytically you have to take yourself out of it for a second to take the personal out of it. And you really have to look at it from a business standpoint. And that was a big clash for me. Big clash. But yeah, I'm very grateful that my father was who he was, and he was Nigerian at that, and they love money. So yes, taught me a lot. I know that's right.
Yeah. So, and I don't think people talk about enough, about the money space of music. It's such a taboo topic for artists. It's like, oh, like, no, I just want to make this thing, and like there's a whole back end, and like there's a whole like operating cost, team. What's the splits on when you put your music on a platform? How does a YouTube partner program work? Like, there's a lot of things that go into making stuff if you want to make it the thing you do for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And the thing is, every deal is not the best deal. Like, I know countless artists that have signed with like some great agencies, and then they end up like, you don't hear from them again.
Shelved. Yeah.
They're shelved literally. And that's the importance of what you're saying, like reading over those contracts.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, the average consumer is so used to just signing away the terms of agreements. We do it on our cell phone bills. We do it on our, every bill we see, we're just, all right, scroll, check mark, like it's a habit. But it's a terrible habit at that.
Yeah.
That's something my mom taught me too. But it's also another language that's critical that we learn too. Just the jargon that's used. A lot of these things could be complicated to the average person, but when you spend time like yourself, analyzing it, understanding it, what's actually happening, it's crucial.
I've heard stories about like agencies in Toronto that charge artists to list them on their roster, and I'm like, that's nuts, bro. You're not supposed to be paying for that. This is crazy.
Like,
I know what's crazy about agencies. I don't know if you heard. Well, I won't name them, but like it's notorious even in the acting industry.
I was gonna say I hear that a lot in acting.
Yeah. Acting, modeling. Yeah, there's an agency that went under because they weren't paying their clients. They weren't paying their actors what they were owed after their gigs. Actors were asking, like, listen, where's the money? It was on the star and everything. And it's just, it's important we do the due diligence. Yeah, a few years ago. It's important we do the due diligence of,
but how would you know if you don't look at your how would you know?
Yeah. Like, it just makes no sense to me. I never understood that concept. I can't remember where I first learned that, where it was like, if an agent charges you, it's a scam. Point blank period, it is a scam. Do not waste your time, because an agency only gets paid when you get paid. It's just that straightforward.
Very simple.
There's nothing else to it. And also in music.
Another red flag too, can only use their photographer.
Oh yeah, what is that?
It's like, what are you talking about?
What do you mean?
You have to use us for headshots. I'm like, all right, man, what's going on here?
Which is so wild.
I had one of those happen to me like 5 years ago.
I think that did happen. I remember I did a modeling. I won't say the name because they're actually really prestigious in Toronto, but it was kind of like the first modeling world I went into, and it was just like kind of this program before you can join the actual agency. Okay. And you pay a certain amount, and you do all these little weird classes, and you got to use their photographer and all that. And I didn't get into the agency. There was actually no follow-up. There was nothing. They just went ghost after that little program was gone. And I was like, what was this even for? Yeah, it was actually pretty insane. And I was like, okay, this is a crazy scam. There's a lot of them.
And that's why it's so key that you have someone that's like, this is how business should be done. In your corner that can basically show you like, okay, this doesn't look like a good deal. They're still going to like, they're not going to hold your hand, but there's a mentor there to kind of say like, oh, okay, this is how business should be conducted.
Yeah, and he definitely had patience, I'll tell you that much. Because I think, like, I'm also a woman in this game.
It's even harder for you.
And the thing is, just the cost alone is so much more. Just to look good on camera is going to cost me more than it would cost any male. And I think him being my father this is where I know this man had so much patience and believed in me, because, quite frankly, my music isn't necessarily the most clean, proper type of stuff. Like, there's some pretty explicit innuendos in between things. Like, I keep it cute, but I'm saying some things. And, like, as a father, he's also taking this in, like, what the heck? This is my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had a conversation in 2019, and I had this one song called 145 from the Tommy's Room EP, and I'm literally saying the song like, give me long time right now. And that's what the whole song is about, sex. And then he was just like, he just sits me down, he's like, so that song, I'm like,
no,
yeah.
I need you to say it with the accent.
I need that.
We need you to paint the picture for us.
Please, I'm visualizing. We're visualizers over here, man.
Yeah, we're filmmakers. We want to see the character and everything, like
scene by scene.
Like, we're just sitting on the couch. We're just talking about, next steps and everything. He's like, so that song, huh? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that 145 song that you have. I'm like, uh-huh. He's like, is that you? I'm like, what do you mean?
Oh, this is good.
I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, is that you? I said, no, like, I have friends. Like, like, it's
Please
just...
don't lie to me. I beg.
Don't do
And he
that.
just, but once again, man of very little words. He just said, okay. And that's it. He just said, okay. That was it. My dad, like I said, right, we actually lived together in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Love my mom, but she let me be a little too independent. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, especially as a Nigerian father, when I finally started living with him, he was like, where's this? Like, I'm never home. Like, I'm always out and about. Like, he's just confused. He's actually perplexed. Like, I remember my mom calling me and, like, basically telling me, he's like, your dad is annoying me. He just keeps getting worried about you because you're not home. And ra-ta-ta-ta. But it's like, I always get everything done. But I just like to be, I don't know. I always had this thing about, like, not wanting to be at home, which is, like, I guess, I don't know where that comes from. But I always wanted to be with friends. I just always wanted to be out the house. And so... he never understood that. He didn't get that. Like, so it really threw him off. Or like, he was like, I don't understand again. Like, he'd just be so stressed. So, yeah, I think he had so much patience, and I was very naive. I was very naive in this game. I've learned a lot, and I've let a lot of things, to my own detriment, kind of affect my career. But it was the sake of, like, sometimes I didn't want to hear him. I thought I was so right, and he was like, okay. He'll just say nothing, and he'll let me fail. And then, you know what I'm saying? And he'll be like, you had to learn it on your own, clearly, because sometimes I just wouldn't listen to him because I'm like, I feel like this is my dad. It's my dad talking, not my manager. You know what I'm saying? We always had that cross sometimes. But yeah, he had patience. He had a lot of patience for me. He understood. He started to understand really the type of woman that I am, or like that I was becoming. And, he was at odds with it. But I will say that he genuinely... he allowed me to see my worth again. That I felt like I lost for a while there.
Talk about that more. What do you mean?
I think that there is a crucial part of not having your father in your life in a daily aspect, especially growing up, especially during your high school years. I think there can be a lack of discipline. And mind you, my mom did a fantastic job, but she worked a lot. She just worked a lot. So there was an aspect of, like, me and my sister kind of growing up young and very independently as well. So I think for me, I've really come to accept and understand that this is just my truth, but I really did live through the validations of others for a very long time. Like, I only saw my worth through the worth that people placed on me. If I trusted your word over my own, then I thought that was right. That's me. That's who I am. It kind of went into even the relationship with my dad, and where my career went was I just trusted his word more than my own. So I saw he saw this worth. I put my worth there. So, and I really lived like that my whole life. So by the time he really came into my life and started bringing discipline to me, like in a sense where he's like, figure this out, because if you think you're going to make anything of yourself, you are sadly mistaken. You know what I'm saying? And he was stern. He was patient, but he was very stern. He was very strict on certain notions. And I probably was the most disciplined I'd ever been in my life. But I think it really brought a lot of self-worth to me, because I started realizing that I have importance. And when I place that importance on myself, everyone will wait. More so than feeling like I need. And my manager now just reminded me of that. He was like, you need to remember that, like, if you are important enough, people will wait. And they will wait as long as you know you're important enough. And I'm like, damn, all right, fine, you're right. You're very right. And that was his biggest thing with me. He was just like, stop feeling like you need to please and be on everyone's time. It's never about that, especially in this game. You think that all these people are here to help you. All these people are going to do so much for you because you're showing up for them. Truth of the matter is, as long as you're focused on you, they have no choice but to show up for you because you have importance. And I didn't understand that. For so long, I didn't understand that because I always felt like I had to prove myself to everybody because that was the only way I found worth in anything that I was doing. So he really started to make me realize, like, step back from that. And that was actually when I attracted much more people to me. So, yeah, he really, really helped me to start to understand that, like, having standard is really important. Not to say that I didn't have any, like, I wasn't crazy out here like that. But I think it's just the sake of understanding I could have trusted myself more and know that I am important enough. And it didn't matter. I just tried to be cool. Like I said, like I had a party phase and boom, boom, boom. Like I really thought that that was cool. I thought that that was how people would appreciate me and accept me because, you know, I was in the scene, I was in the cut. But I look back at that now and I'm like, dang, I just wish I was that girl that actually stayed in her room and kept playing guitar. I really do.
Yeah. I feel like there's so much you learn from being, like we spoke about this earlier too, about like the art of observation.
Yes.
And like those experiences you learn. Do you feel like that informs your work too? Like just being outside and experiencing different people and learning about different people and going through different situations. Has that ever played a part in what you do as an artist? Or
yes, I do believe, regardless of what I say now, I do believe that every path every decision I ever made and any path that I took still played an important role in where my creative is today. Like I still think I had to go through what I went through for myself. I do believe that even though this might not be my plan and purpose in life, God put me on that path. I had to find my way for a reason. Because I do not think that if I stayed in my bedroom, I would have been able to explore life. And I think life is just so important in terms of relating to so many people.
yeah.
You know, I think it is really important to have to try different things and do different things, go outside of your box. I just stayed there a little too long. That was the problem.
I see.
Right? But realistically, it was necessary. I think it is necessary. I think there is a part of creation that is a rebellion. And I think that is something to, you know, give yourself grace for if you feel like you might have regretted some things in the midst of that, which is very common.
You got to live life to be an artist. There's nothing for you to say if you just lock yourself in your room.
Can't play it safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to take risks, like both in your work and outside your work.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Like, I mean, like,
No, you got to risk it, man.
within reason,
No,
outside the
within
work,
reason.
within reason. You know
I
what
think
mean?
that
Like,
every creative has, you know, some things they wish they didn't do.
100%.
But hey,
Obviously, yeah.
you did
yeah.
it. And now you have something to talk about.
100%. There's things that
Now
you
have something
learn
to
from,
talk
and
about.
there's now guardrails you have up where you can
Right.
say, okay, all right, I won't do that because that's how I felt after that. I will do this because that led to, you know.
Yeah.
That
I'm a guy. I'm trying to see how far the rubber band. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see how far can we go before breaking it. You know,
Listen.
you gotta push the envelope, and it sounds like
100%.
that's what you're. You know, whatever. I don't really care what happened up until this point.
Yeah.
It's accumulation that's
Yeah.
made you the artist you are today.
Today,
I think it's really
100%.
important. Without those, you know, like we were saying on the other podcast, you have to pull from somewhere.
Yeah.
And you can only pull from experience. You
Yes.
can't pull from somebody else's story. We've seen how that works with
Yeah.
artists who don't.
It's like broken telephone almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, but when you actually lived life, you have lessons. You know how business works. It's like you're giving yourself the best chance of success.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really grateful for the life I've lived, for the good and the bad. I think I'm very grateful because it's played a huge part in terms of where I'm going with my life this year. So I think it was really important to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
One thing that's
feel like
interesting about you is that you're also an actor.
Yeah.
You know, when we were talking earlier, people know you as I assume as an artist, as a singer.
Yeah.
But you also act. I think it was Fear Thy Roommates. There's a few other credits.
Oh my God.
There's a few other credits I'm missing. But
Yeah.
how did you get into that?
I mean, that was actually, like, I went to school for acting. Professionally, I've been acting longer than I've been making music. That started in 2017 when I got my first agent. But I don't know, man. I've always had a passion for both. I always saw myself in both worlds. I think I get to be the actor of me when I'm performing, because I really want people to understand the story of my songs. Even if some of my songs I really didn't have the greatest story around it, by the time I get on stage, I created an entire film. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I'm like, yes, boom, boom, boom. And I created an entire story. And I think that acting is one of the most intimate ways to reflect life. And so I think that there's something just so powerful in it. I love both. I think they're so intertwined. There's not one that I love more than the other. It's just music's a bit more easy to do independently. But I love acting. I love acting. I love directing. It is very much in my world.
Yeah. I mean, they're both very intertwined because of like music videos, of course.
Yeah.
There's an element of acting that's involved with that. You be comfortable in front of the cameras. You have to be comfortable storytelling.
Yes.
You know, knowing what you want to say, reacting to what that person is doing. And maybe a bit different than narrative, but like I do, there's some of my favorite music videos I still recall to this day. Like, what's that Bow Wow, Let Me Hold You? You know, actually, oddly enough, one of the music videos for our campaign, I think it was from that video, actually inspired, we referenced for our campaign, we just did 2 years ago.
That's fire.
For our varsity jacket. So it kind of tells us about the power of acting and how it transcends across, you know, music videos, singer and songwriters, as well as narratively. So
yeah, I think like acting is just a great way to storytell. And like I found that a lot of my songs have this storytelling approach, and I think that comes from the actor in me. For most of the time, I always felt like for a while there, I'm like, I don't know, a song is a different character, like, and I would approach it that way. So sometimes for a while there, people found it hard to box me into like, yo, what is your sound? Who are you? And I'm like, shoot, I don't know, I'm this character. And I really like kind of approached music in that way. Like, it was just kind of this idea of like, okay, well, this song is like this, okay, and it would be like a whole new character for that song. And I'm like, yeah, I did that. But I didn't understand that in a sense. People can't relate to that musically, marketing wise. But I think I've always just approached the two in that way, which is why my sound is so like, there's a humongous arc to it, because some of it is very personal, like for me. And then other songs, I just feed off stories I've been told, things I've experienced, things I've seen, and I'll write from the point of view of somebody. And that is very much from a storytelling perspective. Yeah.
The point of view of somebody.
Yeah.
Like, you'll put yourself in that shoe.
And I'll write from there.
First
wow,
person.
that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, like there's a few songs I did. There's a few songs I did that were like that. They actually had nothing to do with me, but it was a story from a friend and or something that I saw, and I found that was very, like, I understood where they were coming from when they explained it to me, and then I'd write a whole song about it. Yeah.
I think that's that edge, like the film background combined with the music back. Like, when you have multiple disciplines, you really start to really think outside the box.
Yeah.
When you're creating something for this specific lane, it's like you're pulling from. I think that's why it's like, that's the beauty of like the whole experience thing. It's like people's intersectionality and like what they choose to pursue.
Yeah.
The fingerprints of that show up in what they make.
Yeah,
100%.
like you said something earlier in this episode about, you know, going door to door before going into your father's business.
Selling knives.
Selling knives.
That's something that
I sold some knives, man.
Selling knives. Is crazy.
You sold the
selling knives is
Let's
crazy.
talk about that. I know some people that get in those jobs, they don't sell a single thing.
I want to talk about
Sales is one of the
it's
most
tough.
important skill. I think it's the most important skill set that no
one talks about it.
Nobody talks.
No, it's actually so crucial, and I think that was my biggest thing. If I can sell a knife, I can sell myself. That was my biggest thing. Like, I took sales as a way for me to become a better persuader in film. Like, and this was before everything was self-tape.
Yeah.
Going into a room for an audition, just how I connect with that casting director could get me that booking.
I kind of miss that.
On it.
I miss those.
Sometimes I really miss it. I cannot
Yeah.
lie, because the connection alone did so much.
Yeah,
It did
self tapes
so
are
much.
convenient, but it's like you miss that connection, that intimacy.
100%.
That's a pandemic changed that, man.
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
And you know, going into school, like, it was that idea of like, you are going to live a life of rejection. That's your life as an actor. It is a life of rejection.
Absolutely.
Most of the time you're getting no's before you get yeses, and you just got to be okay with it.
Yeah.
And I think sales is the exact same way. It's the exact same approach. It is a numbers game. So it was just understanding that, like, if I can get them to believe in me, they'll buy anything I want.
Okay, so take me through this. You go up to a door.
So it wasn't
do you
door-to-door. It
oh,
was
was it-
referral based.
Oh, it's referral based. Okay.
So it starts
okay.
with your family,
Okay.
and then family don't buy it, of course, but then they give you a list
Yeah.
of people, and then boom, you call them. Hey guys, hey, I got your number from so and so. How are you? You know, I'm gonna get paid anyways just to come and present. So don't feel any pressure, but it would really help me out. Okay, what day do you want to come? Okay, cool. I'll come this day. Boom. By this time, at one point, I'm meeting strangers because these referrals are going further and further away from like anyone I'm mutuals in terms of like friends or family. And then by this time, I'm coming to your house. You're already kind of just sympathizing with me. You're like, all right, whatever. You're gonna get paid. Then I just get to talking to you and just like, how are you? How was your day? Boom, boom, boom. What do you do? Oh, I'm an actor. You know, I'm just trying to like get better at these things. And I really made them believe my story. It wasn't really about the knives. It was really just about my story. And then it would also help me kind of like, in terms of like how to sell, like, first of all, I will down this hill. Those knives are amazing. Cutco. You guys should definitely get some Cutco. I don't even get paid by them anymore, but Cutco. Yes, I will. I love those knives. Let me tell you, because they're. Let me not go into it. Anyways, I really did believe in the product, though. I will say that, and I know that for myself. If I'm going to sell anything, I do need to believe in it.
That's actually important. It's
Yeah.
easy to sell something that you actually believe in.
Yeah, I actually believe in.
Yeah.
The knives can like cut a coin. That was always the most like. Sorry, the fork. Oh my
That's
girl,
pretty serious.
figure it out. The scissors. The scissors can literally cut up a coin,
Okay.
which was I thought was just
And so
incredible.
you had a whole kit with you? Like
I had a
you're
whole
walking
kit.
around with a kit?
And mind you, I
Okay.
wasn't driving. I was busing from everywhere on the
Oh.
GTA. Like I was hustling.
You're on that,
Oh
you're on
my-
that 19 Shoppers Road?
Listen.
You're on that- Here in
I
Ontario?
was everywhere. I was everywhere.
Oh, man.
And it was really just that idea. And like a lot of people were very impressed by the knives, but they were extremely expensive. So like
What's the
sometimes
tag on the knives?
like a whole set was like $1,200 at that time. And that was at that time.
That's a big ticket item.
100, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a big ticket item
yeah.
for a set. And like one knife could range from like $200 to $500. The scissors were about $50, which is still really expensive for a pair of scissors.
Why are they so expensive?
Lifetime warranty.
Oh, okay.
Lifetime warranty.
Okay.
They were also made for like the design of the handle is meant for people with arthritis. That was the whole point of them. So like its ergonomic shape is actually like what helps you cut. Like it cuts smooth. Like those knives are actually very good.
You still trying to
Yeah,
sell
you
it?
still trying to sell
Yeah,
it.
you still trying
Like,
to sell
alright.
it.
Guys, I just believe in the knives. Like my stepmom and my mom, they both have some, and they're like, it's their
Yeah.
favorite knives. Like
No.
they're very good.
You know what's so interesting? The first account of ever needing or wanting to sell something was in middle school or no primary school. Do you remember when they gave you those
The
chocolate
chocolates,
almonds?
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
You have to go door to door, sell those. You get a little prize at the end if you sell the most.
Right.
And I actually like those chocolates. Those are actually some fire ones.
Yeah, actually,
The
they were
mint
Remember that
ones?
white? Nah, I can't do cake. Can
The
we talk
mint
about
chocolate
mint? No,
cookies?
Mint?
and
Oh
chocolate.
my God.
There's
should be
certain
a
The Girl
combinations
Scout
I'm
mint
like,
chocolate
oh,
cookies?
Chocolate and orange. Chocolate and
Okay,
orange.
no, that's
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 dark
Dark chocolate
chocolate.
orange is actually
That's
It's
debauchery.
gas.
That's debauchery.
What?
It's ass, right? It's ass or
No,
ga-
gas.
It's
No,
ass.
no.
Gas.
No, it's
Dark
ass.
chocolate and
Thank you.
orange?
No, that's dirty
Chocolate
work.
and mint any day.
Chocolate mint. is
Mint and
crazy.
chocolate, and that's also debauchery. Both of those things need to. You guys are cropped out. What happened to just regular
This is
chocolate?
so
Like, you guys
good.
are.
There's flavors, man.
I actually
These are
don't like chocolate
painting-
like that.
I don't like it
Okay,
either.
now we're
Like,
now is getting now this
Yeah, now it's
conversation
good,
is
yeah.
getting a little. Now you guys are getting
Okay.
crazy. Not liking
not
chocolate is crazy.
That's
Yes.
criminal in some places.
I only
Yeah.
like chocolate with like peanut butter. So I like O. Henry's,
It's not bad. Yeah,
Reese's,
Not too
but like
heavy.
just a nice regular white chocolate, I won't eat it.
White chocolate's not a thing. This is something that's just they just.
Dark chocolate's
Is it?
even worse.
It
No,
is-
dark chocolate is
No,
the
it's the
only way to eat
healthiest.
chocolate.
It's the healthiest.
Healthy is great,
Yeah.
No, it's
but
the
don't
only
taste
way.
things.
She's like, yeah.
It don't taste good though.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and I just got people to. They were like, okay, I honestly like I don't really want the knives, but I'll buy something for you
Mm.
because it helped me.
Mm.
And that was the thing. I sold a lot of knives that way. People just liked me, and that helped
Knives
me a
out.
lot.
Knives out.
No, there's something so profound about this. I'm like, I did not think we were gonna be talking about sales.
Yeah.
I know.
Like the sales element, like this is something that I'm like now I'm thinking about. I'm like, man, that is the most important skill when you're pitching someone, when you're trying to work with someone.
Yeah.
Even when you're going to get a job, like a job interview,
Yeah.
you're selling yourself. Like this
Yeah.
is the audition, the self tape. You know, like
Yeah.
there's and you've learned that. You got over it. Selling $1,200 knives. If you can sell a $1,200 piece of whatever.
Like-
You know what? You were 9. How old were you when you were selling the knives?
Yeah, I think I was like 19. Yeah.
To me, I think that's better than a degree. to me.
I will say,
The skill,
yeah.
that's-
Like
yeah.
I never went to school for business, but I learned a lot of. I know business from experience.
Yeah, no, that's waste
I'm
of
Yeah.
time.
cool. I'm kind of cool
Waste
with
of
that.
time.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing that you're gonna learn in a business school.
Just the paper you get, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
That-
it was fun. It was fun.
$1,200 knives.
Yeah.
Something
You
like
can
that.
sell a couple of those a month. You're Gucci.
Good-
you
good
know
to
what I'm
go.
saying? You know what I'm saying?
And I think there's
Can't
something to say about selling value, with this item or what you can do for whoever, as opposed
Yeah.
to selling this thing. Because sometimes they might not even need the knife,
Yeah.
right? But it's about what is
The
the
narrative.
what is the narrative and what's the best fit for this person. Maybe they might
Exactly.
need the fork, maybe they might need the spoons, or
Yeah.
maybe they might need something else. I don't know, but
Yeah.
to you always hear that idea of like someone be like, okay, sell me this fork,
Yeah,
and
or
the
sell
person
me
will be,
this
okay,
pen.
okay, yeah, sell me this pen. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, what do you use the pen for? What type of pens do you use? How often do you use it? You have to ask these questions if it's even the right fit for this person.
Yeah.
If it's not, then you can tell you clearly don't care.
I don't think
Yeah.
people understand the amount of actual emotional intelligence that goes into sales. Like you
Yes.
have to actually know your customer
Yeah.
in and out before you get in there. Whether you've researched before, whether you're asking the question to size them up in that moment, and then it's the same thing in any other arena and any other business transaction.
Yes.
Mm.
That you're
it
like
is,
a
yeah.
quadruple. I was gonna say triple threat. You're creating this stuff, like you're directing, writing, you're acting.
Acting,
You got the
modeling.
business. You're modeling in front of the camera. You're acting out. Like people don't understand. Like this is what makes you, because at the end of the day, we're like, whether this podcast, whether the music, whether it's knives, you're still making a product.
Yeah. 100%.
And there's a way that there's a process that goes into selling that product,
Yeah.
marketing that product, right? And understanding that it sounds like you just have a great intuitive understanding of like the full sales. Like,
Yeah.
Aspect. I guess so.
Lifeline,
I
yeah.
think I'm just really starting to understand that. And I don't understand this now. I think even when I was selling knives, I didn't really understand the fundamentals of what I was actually learning at that time. Because, sometimes it didn't actually like reflect in the way I would present myself, or when I had to sell myself musically or whatever, there was still a lack of confidence or a lack of understanding. Who am I talking to? What is my target audience? I had no idea what I was doing at that time too. And just knowing it now, it really is the sake of like consumers buy emotionally.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like most people will consume things emotionally,
Yeah.
and that's just the best way. We're just talking about it. Like that personal approach is
Yeah.
very much your longevity in any brand.
They
so
call
let me.
it,
You go ahead.
I was gonna say they call it retail therapy for a reason.
For a reason.
right?
Mhm.
Tough times,
100%.
you want to blow a bag on some, shirts or shoes, whatever. A lot of
Something.
people think that way because
Yeah.
it's a
It's
form
emotional.
of healing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's emotional.
emotional.
100%.
Emotions aside, what do you think? Because now you're in probably. We were talking about this with AFTA. The music industry has changed the most. Like technology has changed the music industry the most.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to me, the numbers don't make sense with music.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So tell me how you make it make sense, and what do you see for this industry moving forward? Especially, there's a lot of changes going on. Like there's a TikTok ban. There's, we talked about, Drake suing a record
UMG.
label. That's
Yeah.
actually something. It's a
Yeah.
big deal. But like, where do you see streaming? Where do you see it in
AI.
like AI to as an independent creator? And I'm more interested in like your all perspective of music, especially. Where do you
Yeah.
see it going?
I think we're going to really have to understand the importance of how people built community before social media to be able to survive it with technology. Because for a while there, numbers was all you needed to place some sort of value on yourself. But I think we are coming to a day and age where, because everything is so accessible and so easily, like you're able to read through a lot of things, numbers alone won't help you anymore. And I think I had to really understand that, because I had a lot of listeners, but I didn't have enough fans. And so I think that plays the biggest difference now when you're looking at how you gonna make money. No one's buying your merch. No one's actually buying your tickets. Where are you going with this? And I think that now we're in a place where I think there's a huge reset in music right now with the ban of TikTok, and people understanding that labels really don't have that much to offer. A lot of independent artists, you have to build your leverage yourself. I think it's super, super key that musicians, because this is what I'm doing this year and what I think is necessary, that you have to build community. You're going to have to rely on like really wanting people to know who you are and like building that, because that's really where the bread and butter is going to be like later down the line for you. Because there's really just no way, like technology is always advancing, but you can't necessarily rely on it completely, because anything can happen. Like if your whole niche and your whole brand was off TikTok and now it's gone, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So really understanding like how that works for you is super, super important. And I wish I could say more to it, but I think this year is going to give me a better understanding of what that's actually going to look like. But I think community is at the core of that, and like really wanting to make sure that whatever you are doing is beyond the music. Mm-hmm. Like the music is great. You need it, of course. But what's your purpose behind it? What are you really trying to convey? Who are you? Because all that aside, even if you want AI to be able to replicate you as an artist and use your likeness or whatever because it can pay you later, at one point, like I think about it this way, where it's just like at one point, artists won't necessarily be necessary, but if you're influential enough, AI will still need you. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to be one of those people that AI is like, yeah, Töme is a voice that everyone wants. So AI would need my likeness.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta pay the ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So at least I'm still getting paid. I'm influential enough. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I think that is super, super important, because yeah, technology is ever changing, and we're not in a day and age where anyone has that blueprint. So it's kind of hard to say what works and what's not going to work, because what we think is all working right now changes in the next 6 months, changes in a year, changes in the next 5. And then what you thought isn't. And I think that's been the entire evolution of technology. Like every time we think we have something down, it changes again. That's not working anymore. Okay, it can't be so superficial, whatever. You gotta show more authenticity. Sometimes you didn't have to show that much. Sometimes you just gotta do content after content after content after content, and it'll work for you. But then realistically, if that's all you're doing, but then there's no actual like community or like basis towards it outside of just music, then that's not gonna work anymore. Like it's just always changing. So I don't know. I don't think I answered your question.
No, I think the answer is you gotta just be adaptable and just be ready and like just. I
think you just got to be true to you. I think you really just got to be true to you, because one thing that will always stand the test of time is your authenticity in it all. Like, as long as you are true to you and what that means, it will always follow suit. You will be able to adapt. Mm-hmm. I think the truth of the matter is when you're not true to yourself, or when you were just doing things based on numbers and trends, is where you will lose yourself, and then you get lost behind, because you can't adapt to something that you were already following someone else from. There was nothing that you were starting. I think because we're in a day and age where technology is a new blueprint to everybody, that means you got to double down on what your blueprint is and stay there. You know what I'm saying? And like trust your process. But that's hard, you know?
Yeah. The influential piece is that part where you're just like, basically what it is like you're making yourself indispensable at the end 100%. Of the day. It's like AI cannot replace me, because you're not gonna get the sauce, you're not gonna get the voice. You know, the triple threat of like the business, the acting, the music. Like you're just making it yourself, so you're just like your value is undeniable.
That's the goal.
You know what I love about what you said is that community part of, you know, gaining an audience, not listeners, but people that really love you and your story. Yeah. Because they feel like they're growing with you. Yes. You know, I think some of our favorite artists are people that we've all grown with from when we were kids. Yeah. And that's why we listen to them. We'll listen to some of their bad songs, you know. We'll put it aside because we're sticking around for that journey, for that ride.
100%.
I remember a couple years ago, I was getting impersonated online.
Oh. Wait, what?
I remember this.
I was getting impersonated online.
Oh my God.
This person was causing havoc, right? They're messaging
on TikTok.
Messaging gal. This was on TikTok. And the thing is, I wasn't big on TikTok. And this page actually had more followers than I did. So it looked like it was the real me. But this person was causing havoc, saying like some explicit, crazy things to people.
What the heck?
And then I'd have actually people come to my main Instagram and be like, yo, what's going on, bro? Like, yo, like really paging me. And I'm like, this isn't me. FYI, it's a fake account, guys. Please report it, da-da-da-da-da. And so I went to one of my homies who's kind of like an IT tech wizard, and I said, bro, what should I do? If you're me, what should I do? He's like, bro, you need a community to support you through this. You need something, because if you had a community that can rally behind you, and kind of not attack this page, but let everyone know this is fake.
This is
you know,
fake,
spread
yeah.
awareness on it.
Yeah.
It would have made the problem that much easier to solve.
Yeah.
But because I was kind of by myself in the
Yeah.
situation, I'm stressing. You know, I'm losing
Yeah.
sleep because, like, listen, this defamation is a scary thing.
It's very serious.
It's a scary thing, you know,
Yeah.
because
they're
it's something
saying some crazy things.
Yes, I don't even want to mention them, but
That's
it's
wild.
there's some times where I'm like, yo, I'm losing sleep over this because
Mhm.
it's my representation, it's my image, and
Yeah.
we're in an industry where image is everything.
Yeah.
Especially AI too is
Yeah.
really, but you know,
It's so scary.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
yeah. Like I think in general, like community really is the sake of I'd literally rather have 100 fans than 100,000 listeners. I really don't care. I don't think that 100,000 listeners can bring me any leverage, but 100 fans can.
mhm.
I don't think we realize how much 100 fans is. If we crowded a room
Yeah.
with 100 people,
And these are genuine
fans,
Genuine fans. They buy every single merch. They buy every single ticket.
what are we
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
That's leverage.
I've always said like the goal is butts and seats. You know,
Mm.
how does a Juno help with that?
Hey.
Wow, what a segue. I'm crying. Man, the Juno. I will say that it definitely helped my credibility. That's for sure. I think the Juno really helped my credibility. It helped, you know, certain people or like mainly industry people see a different light because it's like, oh, okay, very strong accolade behind her in her city. You know, I think that it really helps for that. But if you're talking about within community, it depends on who you're talking to. You know, some consumers don't really give a damn what award you have. They don't like your music or they don't really understand you. It doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think a Juno helps in one way for sure. But then in another way, I don't think it's a strong enough like award or, yeah, I don't think it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not that great of a gain if you still don't have, you know, that community behind you. I think community is literally one of the biggest achievements an artist can receive. Is to know that they have genuine fans, to know that you have a following. You could win no awards and still be one of the most influential people.
There's a
We
lot
know
of
so
musicians,
many
yeah.
artists for that reason.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And they might not have, they have one award, two, or none, but still you would never discredit their credibility in the game because look at the community they have. I think community is number one. But I mean, of course, having awards, it's reassuring. It allows you to know that you are on the right path, that you are doing something good, that the creation that you're putting out there is being recognized and it's being awarded. I think I'm so grateful to have a Juno. On the note of community, that's my stance. But in general, within my career, I'm so grateful to have received that, and I'm just excited for more.
This was in 2021, right?
That was in 2021, yeah.
2021. Where
Yeah.
was it at the time?
Well, it was virtual.
Pandemic, right?
It was virtual.
Yeah, it was virtual. A lot of things still weren't like out and about yet.
I don't blame you. I graduated virtually.
Yeah, that
Terrible.
was kind of crappy. I can't lie, I was pretty pissed. I was like, I want to do the red carpet, the whole nines.
Yeah.
But it was still really nice. I'm really really grateful. And that was just like 2 years into my career. Like it's like whoa, like
Yeah. A little
I
bit of a
think-
sidebar. Do you play sports growing up?
yeah, I did
What'd you play?
basketball and volleyball.
What if I told you if you got the Juno 10 years ago from
Okay.
2021, if you got it in 2011, Juno Awards, they used to have something called Juno Hoops, where they bring together a bunch of celebrities within the Juno Awards to play a
You
basketball
serious?
game. Yeah. A charity basketball game, essentially. And a part of those proceeds would go back to, undeserving communities, things like that.
Wow.
And it's something my pops actually used to run. My pops and my
Really?
brother, yeah. And I remember as a
That's so
kid
dope.
hearing
That's
about
actually
this,
dope.
but I hope they bring it back. It would be actually
That'd be so
it'd be
much
very,
fun.
Yeah, it'd be very fun. And I'm like, with their height too, little jab step here.
I've been a little rusty.
Yeah,
Been a
man.
little rusty, but,
Yeah, but
I still love ball. I love
Yeah.
ball. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
What?
it's
I didn't
crazy.
even know
Yeah,
they did that.
Juno Hoops. Yeah, I think 2011 or 2012 was the last time they did it, because it's still a
Wow.
fairly new award show relative to like
Yeah.
the Grammys or
Yeah, it is.
so.
It is.
Yeah, I do hope they bring it back.
That's a community
be
thing, right?
fun.
Right back into what you're talking about community.
Maybe.
That's also like a community building, like
Yes.
building a community around like, okay, here's this acclaim that you're getting and recognition for your work.
Yeah.
Suit up.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know.
That's so much
Yeah.
fun. No,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. What?
Yeah.
That'd be
let's go.
lit.
Yeah. fun
So
fact.
what's next? What's next for you?
Oh, this year is an interesting year. I think I'm kind of exploring something new. Losing my father was an insanely revealing and vulnerable time for me, because it just flipped my entire career on its head. And I had to really start looking internally. So last year was a year of rest and pause, and I really reconnected with God. I think God was kind of like at the center of my life last year, and it was so necessary. And so into this year, I think I'm really coming from that place and purpose. And I created this, I couldn't afford like good therapy. So I found a way to therapize myself, and I created inner therapy. So inner, but in her therapy. And this is subjective depending on who listens to it, but it could be like a musical podcast. If you hear it that way, it could be a guided meditation. It could be like an audiobook. It could be a spoken word. But it was just a way for me to start producing and composing very reflective and meditative sounds, and, kind of just speaking my journal entries out loud. So that's going to be releasing in March. And the first season is called Discovering Me. And it's really so people understand who I am. And like where I'm going, and who I am today is probably not who you met in 2019, or who you might know, or you think you know. And I think that is going to be really powerful work. I'm really excited for it, but that's going to take up like my first half of the year. And then, a little 3-single EP, or like 3 singles and then an EP by the end of the year. So musically, I'm working on a lot of different things, and I'm just really excited for what this year will bring. But it's a new approach to the career, so it's nerve-wracking too, but that's a good thing. I just got to trust God.
Trust
God.
Putting him, centering him in everything. That's something I've been big on too as well recently, kind of centering him. It takes a lot of pressure off ourselves.
Yes.
And I like what you mentioned about that. So we're rooting for you.
Thank you.
We're proud to have you on here.
Yeah.
You're a gifted guy with love. I hope you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
No, this was really fun. I thank y'all a lot, and thank you for thinking of me. So this is exciting. This is exciting stuff.
Any last words?
Let us know where we can find you.
Töme official on everything. TOME official _ on most platforms, and my journey is ever evolving. So just tap in before it's too late.
The train has left the station.
Oh, that was sad.
Hey.
Someone had to call it out.
Hey, I'm not auditioning, guys. It's not a self tape, all right?
I'm crying.
Okay, on that note, there you have it, folks. Thanks for tapping in. Take care.
That was amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm middle of the season. This is with Numa, I think.
They told you to trim down?
Yeah, they told me to slim down. I never told you that. They said like, I told the phone. They like, you got to trim like 10 pounds. I was like, yo, what the?
Actually, that's kind of the reason I stopped too.
Oh yeah.
Yep, I remember it was like 2017 or 2018. I went to every single agency, all their open.